He was your partner, your other half, your anchor in life's storms. And then, one day, he was gone. What follows isn't just grief. It's silent. It's confusing. It's facing 1,000 small decisions alone. But this moment, right here, is more important than you realize. Because the next steps you take can either break you or begin to build something new, something meaningful. In this video, I'm uncovering 7 mistakes many people make after losing a spouse and how to avoid them. Not to numb the pain, but to help you reclaim strength, dignity, and purpose. And trust me, you'll want to stay till the very last one, because it's the most life-changing of all. Mistake 1. Isolating yourself. Grief whispers lies. No one understands. No one knows what this feels like. And perhaps the most dangerous of all, it's better to be alone. But isolation is a slow poison. It disguises itself as rest, as peace, even as control. But over time, it eats away at your spirit. After loss, many retreat. They cancel plans, ignore calls, stop showing up. The silence becomes a cocoon, and before long, the world feels distant, unreachable. But here's the truth: connection is medicine. Human beings aren't wired to suffer in silence. Grief needs a witness, not someone to fix it, but someone to stand beside it. Even sitting quietly with someone who cares, no advice, no solutions, can begin to mend a shattered heart. You don't have to pour everything out. You don't even have to talk about the loss. Sometimes, just being with someone, going for a short walk, sharing a meal, hearing another voice in the room, reminds you that life still exists outside the pain. And there are spaces made just for this. Grief support groups, community circles, spiritual gatherings, even online forums, filled with people who may not know your exact story, but they know what it's like to love and lose. You might think you're protecting others by withdrawing, but in reality, you're also denying yourself the very connections that could gently guide you back toward light. Grief isn't meant to be carried alone, and you don't need to be strong in isolation. You just need to be seen. So call an old friend. Accept the invitation. Let someone in, even just a little. Because when you isolate, you also risk falling into the next silent trap, one that impacts not just your mind, but your body too. Mistake 2. Ignoring your health. Your body keeps the score, and after loss, it speaks loudly. Sleep becomes restless. Appetite fades. Appointments are skipped. But this isn't the time to neglect your health. It's when you need it the most. Grief is not only emotional, it's physical. It can cause chest tightness, headaches, digestive issues, fatigue, even a weakened immune system. Unchecked, it increases your risk of depression, heart problems, and chronic illness. You might not feel like eating, or moving, or even getting out of bed, but this is when your body and mind are most vulnerable, and small, simple actions can begin to restore balance. Schedule that checkup. Walk a little each day. Even 10 minutes outside, breathing fresh air, can interrupt the stress response and calm your nervous system. Drink water. Take your vitamins. Breathe deeply. Stretch. Rest. Eat like someone you love, because you are. Taking care of your body doesn't mean you're moving on. It doesn't mean you've stopped grieving. It means you're choosing to survive, to stay rooted, to give yourself a fighting chance, not just to endure, but eventually to thrive. And when your mind tells you, what's the point? Remember, your health is the foundation that everything else will rest on, including your healing. Your loved one wouldn't want you to fall apart. They would want you to be whole, to breathe, to live, to make it. But even with health, grief can still cloud your judgment. And that's where the next mistake becomes dangerous. Mistake 3. Making big decisions too soon. Selling the house. Giving away his things. Moving across the country. It feels urgent, like escaping the pain will quiet it. But here's the truth: grief distorts perspective. It narrows your focus, amplifies fear, and alters your sense of time. In the fog of mourning, decisions can feel like lifelines. But they can also become anchors of regret. Maybe you feel suffocated by memories in every room. Maybe the silence is too loud. So you think, if I just change everything, maybe the pain won't follow me. But loss isn't something you can outrun. And when you're grieving, you're not in a state to weigh consequences clearly. Major life changes require clarity, not just emotion. Instead, give yourself permission to wait. Create a no major moves window: 6 months. 12 months, longer, if needed. Write your ideas down. Revisit them later. What feels essential in the heat of heartbreak may look very different with time. If you must make decisions, do so slowly. Involve someone you trust. Sleep on it. Then sleep on it again. And remember, you're not betraying your loved one by holding on a little longer. You're honoring the part of you that still needs space to process, to remember, to breathe. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't acting fast, it's waiting. But while you pause major decisions, be careful not to pause this next crucial part of yourself. Mistake 4. Abandoning your identity. You are part of a we now, it's just me. And in the echo of that silence, many forget who they are. Your roles may have changed, but your worth has not. After a loss, whether it's the end of a relationship, the death of a loved one, or any kind of major life shift, it's easy to unconsciously surrender your sense of self. You start referring to yourself only in relation to what you used to be: someone's partner, someone's parent, someone's teammate, someone's other half. But here's the truth: you are still whole. This mistake, abandoning your identity, doesn't happen all at once. It slips in quietly. Maybe you stop dressing the way you used to, because what's the point? Maybe you stop doing the things that once lit you up, or you silence your opinions to avoid standing out. Before long, you're living like a ghost of your former self, present, but not really there. But healing asks something different. It asks you to come home to yourself. Pick up old hobbies. Reignite interests. Reclaim your name, your space, your voice. Rediscover the books you used to love. Reconnect with friends who knew you before life changed. Try new things that reflect who you're becoming now. Identity is not static. It grows, shifts, and expands. You are allowed to evolve. Because you're not just someone who lost. You're someone who still is. Still valuable. Still capable. Still becoming. But identity alone won't carry you far, unless you also avoid the next hidden trap. Mistake 5. Suppressing grief. Stay strong. Don't cry. Move on. Society tells you to suppress pain like it's weakness. But ignoring grief is like sealing a volcano. Eventually, it erupts. We live in a world that rushes everything, including healing. From the moment something or someone is lost, the pressure begins. Get back to work. Be productive. Smile through it. Don't make others uncomfortable with your sadness. But grief isn't an interruption in life. It is life, raw, real, and deeply human. Suppressing grief doesn't make it disappear. It just buries it deeper, where it festers and reshapes itself into anxiety, numbness, bitterness, or even physical illness. Grief must be felt to be released. It's not linear. It doesn't come with a deadline. And it certainly doesn't obey the rules of convenience. Let yourself feel. Cry. Rage. Journal. Sit quietly in sorrow. Let the waves come and go. You are not broken because you feel deeply. You are healing. Every tear is proof that something mattered, that you loved, that you're alive. Healthy grieving is not about moving on, it's about moving through. You can scream into a pillow, take long walks in silence, write letters you never send, or just sit with someone who holds space for your ache. These are not signs of weakness, they are acts of courage. Give yourself permission to break. Because only then can you rebuild. Suppressing your grief delays your healing. But honoring your grief? That's where your strength is born. And yet, as you process the pain, there's one trap many fall into without even realizing it. Mistake 6. Comparing your grief. They seem fine. He moved on fast. She still cries after 5 years. There's no finish line to grief. No manual. No perfect pace. Your journey is uniquely yours. Grief doesn't wear a uniform. It shows up differently in each person, loud in some, quiet in others. For one, it looks like tears. For another, isolation. For some, it may feel like numbness. Others might seem fine on the outside while crumbling within. And yet, in our most vulnerable moments, we tend to compare our grief to others. Why am I still stuck here? Why did they move on so quickly? Am I grieving wrong? But there's no wrong way to grieve, only your way. Comparison creates a false narrative that some responses to pain are more acceptable than others. It invites shame into a space where only compassion should exist. You don't know what's behind someone's composed face. You don't see the private tears, the 2 a.m. breakdowns, or the quiet rituals they keep to stay grounded. Just because their process looks different doesn't mean they're stronger. And just because yours feels heavier doesn't mean you're failing. Comparison only adds shame to sorrow, and shame silences healing. Instead, practice self-trust. Your grief is not too much. Your tears are not too long. Your pace is not too slow. Whether it takes months or years, you are allowed to take your time. Grief is not a competition. It's not a contest of strength or a public performance. It's a sacred, personal journey, and your only job is to honor your own. So honor your path however long it takes. Healing isn't a race. It's a return to yourself, to wholeness, to peace, to meaning. And finally, the one mistake that causes the most long-term damage, and the one that's easiest to miss. Mistake 7. Living without purpose. He was your reason, your routine, your companion. And now, every day feels hollow. That morning coffee you used to share. The inside jokes no one else gets. The plans you made, now suspended in time. Grief doesn't just take a person. It often takes the why that got you out of bed in the morning. It's natural, in the aftermath of loss, to drift, to feel like you're just existing instead of living, to question whether there's anything left to move toward. But here's the truth no one says enough. Your story isn't over. Losing someone you love alters the landscape of your life, but it doesn't mean life has lost its meaning. What once gave you purpose may no longer be present, but purpose itself is not gone. It evolves. Maybe your new purpose is small at first, like nurturing a plant, walking a neighbor's dog, or simply making it through the day without falling apart. Maybe it grows into mentoring someone, writing your story, painting again, volunteering, traveling somewhere new, or simply being a quiet light for someone else walking through darkness. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be true. You're not betraying his memory by living fully. You're honoring it. You are the continuation of a love that shaped you. Living on, not in denial of what was lost, but in reverence for it. That's not forgetting. That's legacy. And perhaps, you are meant to carry a new torch forward, one that only you can hold. Sometimes, the deepest pain births the deepest clarity, that this one fragile life is not meant to be merely endured. It's meant to be lived, fully, fiercely, honestly. Let grief teach you, and then let purpose guide you. Because the best tribute to a life shared is a life continued. Losing your husband will change you. It will carve out parts of you you never expected to lose. It will test your identity, your strength, your will to keep going. But it doesn't have to define or destroy you. Yes, the grief is real. The empty chair, the quiet bed, the way time moves forward while you feel frozen. But so is your resilience. So is your ability to rise again and again. Not by forgetting him, but by carrying him forward in new and courageous ways. These 7 mistakes? They're common. They're human. But now, you're wiser. Now, you're equipped. Now, you know what to do, not just to survive, but to reclaim your life, your purpose, your voice. If this video helped you or could help someone else, hit like, subscribe, and share. Because every share can be a lifeline to someone sitting in silence, thinking they're the only one feeling this way. The more we talk about grief, the more we break the shame and the isolation around it. The more we remind people they are not alone, not in their pain, not in their questions, not in their slow return to light. And if you've lived through loss, whether it's been weeks or years, drop a comment below. Share your story. Or offer the one piece of advice you wish someone had told you in the beginning. Because someone out there is scrolling right now, desperate for a sign that they'll be okay. Let your words be that sign. Let's be that light together.